Washington, D.C., home to some of the most symbolic landmarks in the world. The Lincoln Memorial, the United States Capitol, and the Washington Monument. Today, one of the most iconic brands in all of college football takes center stage on the outer banks of the nation's mall. It's Penn State and Maryland in a Big Ten East showdown. The Unrivaled Pregame Show, live from Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium, starts now.
Turn our attention next to Penn State taking on Maryland.
And right now we're about to see what a lot of folks call cricket for.
Throws to the end zone and a one-handed grab by Mike Gesicki.
What stands out to you most about this matchup?
So what you ask yourself, how can I set the tone? Because you're only going to get one crack at it.
Jackson for the intercepted again. Terry Castro-Diaz. Hard hit delivered. Down the sidelines. Touchdown. Wow. It's Penn State in to take on Maryland. And yeah, it does run deep.
These are two really good football teams, guys.
There's a tight end, Brenton Strange, and Penn State strikes first.
In the classroom, going out to grab something to eat. Everybody wants to ask you about that big game that weekend that's coming up.
Here come the Terrapins. Hard hit delivered. And he gets walloped.
It's going to be a very physical football game here today.
Oh my goodness. The Price is there. He's got it. Touchdown, Penn State.
Take it to him. Take it to him. 60 minutes.
There goes Kentucky for a payday.
You talk about giving somebody smoke. It's got to be a catalyst that ignites success.
This is real. This isn't an act. He is it very hard. It is on touchdown.
This is go time.
They are ready. We are Penn State versus Fear the Turtle.
It's time to go create success by setting the tone.
And we welcome you to the Unrivaled Pregame Show, live from Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. I'm your host, Mitch Gerber. Coming up on today's show, we'll preview Penn State and Maryland with the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones. We'll go one-on-one with special teams coordinator Joe Lorig. And we'll take a look at one of the most pivotal assets to Penn State's offense so far through 2021, especially on third down, Parker Washington. And of course, it's not the Unrivaled Pregame Show without Team Arrival coverage. The team is already on their way to the field, so we'll carry that coverage live throughout today's program for you on the Unrivaled Pregame Show. Game time is set for 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time inside Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium, or if you can't make it to today's game, you can watch it on FS1, or as always, you can listen to today's game on the Penn State Sports Network with Steve Jones, Jack Ham, and the rest of the gentlemen up in the booth. Game time temperatures look like this. 55 degrees, partly cloudy skies is the expected game time forecast, with the sun setting at about 6:02 p.m. local time. An absolutely spectacular day in early November here in College Park, Maryland. Fans, don't forget to join us for the Unrivaled postgame show following today's game between these two programs, as we'll visit one-on-one with head coach James Franklin and a couple of select Penn State student athletes. Also, don't forget to tune in every single week for the Unrivaled podcast, the official podcast of Penn State football, as we have exclusive guests for you every single week. Listen on your preferred streaming service and subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode all season long. These two programs have a storied history as they meet with identical 5-3 records, as Penn State and Maryland meet here inside Maryland Stadium, including a win for the Penn State last time they visited College Park, Maryland, as we flash back to Friday, September 27th of 2019. Let's pick things up in the first quarter. It's Jan Johnson, good old Jan Johnson, with an INT to set the tone early for Penn State in this matchup. Sophomore quarterback Sean Clifford had a career night against the Terps as he went 26 of 31 for 398 yards through the air, including a Penn State record 287 yards in the first half alone. Number 14 picked up his first career rushing touchdown while connecting with 13 different Nittany Lions throughout the night. One of those being KJ Hamler that you saw right there, as he had 108 yards receiving. Maryland native Tariq Castro Fields hauled in an INT that led to a touchdown drive by Penn State's offense, who finished with 619 yards of total offense. At the time, it was Penn State's first shutout since 2017 and their first shutout over Maryland since 1970, as James Franklin's program walked away with a 59-0 victory. Fast start to the Unrivaled Pregame show here inside Capital One's field at Maryland Stadium. And for more on today's matchup, we were able to catch up with special teams coordinator Joe Lorig Friday afternoon at the team hotel. Checking in with special teams coordinator Joe Lorig ahead of Penn State and Maryland. Coach, what stuck out to you about the week of prep that your unit put in?
Our guys did a great job this week. I think they're really excited to play, and I think we're just excited for another opportunity to go 1-0.
How have you seen your unit approach this week with a chip on their shoulder?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say any different than any other week. Just, we know we got to take care of our business, and we think we have a really good opportunity in front of us.
When it comes to the special teams aspect, what challenges do Maryland present?
They've got a bunch of really good skill players, just like they do on offense. I coach on the defensive side as well. A bunch of the receivers are really talented. So they do present some challenges there, but I think we'll be ready for it.
Right now, Penn State special teams ranks second in net punting at this point in the 2021 season. What makes your unit so lethal from that aspect? And it's obviously not just Jordan Stout. It's not just Chris Stoll. It's a collective unit.
Yeah, I think you said it's a collective unit. It starts with the snap. Obviously, the snappers don't get enough credit, so Chris Stoll's done a great job all year, really his whole career. And then, Jordan getting good height on the ball, good ball location, and then our coverage unit. We've had Drew Hartlob and A.J. Litton have done a fantastic job of getting down there. I think we've given up 26 yards this year of total returns. So it's really a combination of the group of guys, but, again, it doesn't really matter unless we go out and do it again tomorrow.
As special teams coordinator Joe Lorig ahead of Penn State and Maryland. Well, just as Joe Lorig said right there, it doesn't matter unless you come out and take care of business today against the Terps. Great insight there into what's made Penn State's special team rank second currently in the country when it comes to the net punt aspect of the game. Now, that's not the only thing going on with today's game. A special performance is about to go down after today's game with the Penn State Blue Band. And for more on that, we toss it over to the second member of our broadcast team, Brooke Stake. Brooke?
Thanks, Mitch. Now, Penn State football is not traveling alone this weekend, as the world-famous Penn State Blue Band is going on their first away trip to an away game in almost 2 years due to the pandemic. Now, I got to go to their practice earlier this week and talk to Blue Band President Gabriel Newvine, Drum Major Ryan Frist, and Public Relations Chair Molly Ligon to share their excitement on how excited they are to finally be back on the road and bring the whole band together for a trip. Check it out.
It's been so amazing. Last year we weren't able to perform in the normal way. We still had rehearsals outside, of course, social distancing, masks, everything like that. And we had virtual performances outside where people could tune in. But like you said, it's definitely different now. We're back to our normal rehearsals, back to being in Beer Stadium on Saturday. So it's so exhilarating. I always say to people, when you think of Penn State football, obviously everybody thinks about the football team, but the next thing that you think about is the band, the Lionettes, the cheerleaders, all these other people that make game day what it is. And it's just so exhilarating for all of us to be able to do that for Penn State again. I mean, I can speak for myself and for the band. We are so excited to be traveling to Maryland. We love doing our away games. Obviously, for every away game, we send a little pet band, but this is our full band away trip. And it's just so exhilarating. With everything that happened last year, you never know what could happen. We weren't, so I just feel and I can speak for the band to say we feel very blessed to be able to do this.
I know I'm definitely really excited to get to travel again, especially from throwback to my first year, all these new experiences, and I feel like I'm experiencing them for the first time again. It's hard to remember what went on 2 years ago, so definitely excited to get to experience them again for seemingly the first time.
We are very, very lucky that we get to spend at least a shared practice with the Maryland band, getting to play with them, getting to meet them and hang out with them. And then during the game, we'll have a shared halftime show. So I'm very excited.
As you can see, the whole Blue Band is so excited to be back traveling on the road again. And if you love catching them in Beaver Stadium, if you're in attendance today at Maryland, you can see the whole band there.
Well, Brooke, appreciate you bringing us that insight as to the Penn State Blue Band. Obviously a great opportunity for them to be able to come to Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium today as well to assist with the Maryland band. That should be a cool opportunity for them, which we will see live on the Unrivaled postgame show behind us as we interview head coach James Franklin and select Penn State student athletes. All right, let's toss it over to the third member of our broadcast team who is actually inside the stadium today. And Connor, I got to turn around because you're somewhere up there right now. And listen, I'm down here braving the elements of a 55-degree November afternoon. I got short sleeves on. You know, it's freezing outside. But there you are, up in the booth, being one of the big-time people on the call today. Connor, how you doing?
Listen, I'm doing great. I love the weather outside. This, to me, is perfect fall weather. I left to get my McDonald's this morning, and I was like, oh, my, this is great. I mean, I do like being up here in the moderated room where, you know, I can control temperature, and I got the jacket if I get a little bit cold, but overall we're doing okay up here. Definitely excited to be here today. And as we see, there's the Blue Band right now. I think they're unrolling a couple of their drum kits out on the field right now. So the Blue Band will be here. I know there are going to be a ton of students here. Nittanyville is going to be loud and proud today here at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. But also, you look at the family members of the Penn State players. There are going to be a ton here today. There are 19 players on the roster right now, Mitch, who are from the state of Maryland. It's the most represented state on the roster outside of Pennsylvania. You got guys like Castro Field, P.J. Mustafer, Curtis Jacobs, who was speaking of media availability this past Wednesday. He was saying how it's going to be tough for him to get tickets for everybody who wants to come to this game from his family. He said he's going to have a tailgate of about 20 to 30 people before this game, and then overall he can get in as many as possible. He's going to try. So it's definitely competitive for the players to get their family in here. It is a really big area for recruiting. It has been throughout Franklin's tenure here at Penn State. As you see, 19 players on the roster from the state of Maryland. So it's going to be plenty of fun today. They're going to see a lot of white in the stands. You're going to see, as you see right there, a bunch of Penn State fans in attendance. I know I was out last night and definitely, you know, at restaurants, overall, just walking around town, you see a lot of Nittany Lion logos, a bunch of blue and white all around town. This is a very popular road trip, and we're looking forward to seeing what it's like today. Definitely takes away some of the home field advantage from Maryland, and that's why you see Penn State winning 66-3 a couple years ago, and then 59-0, as you pointed out to Mitch, a couple years back. So definitely looking forward to seeing overall the type of environment that these Penn State fans can generate today. And with that, speaking of the game today, let's head into our Maryland game preview.
Now you see the electric passing attack. You see a defense playing with some infused life and a really talented secondary. Penn State, they still got some tough games on their schedule and some squads who need that Penn State win that I'm not sure they're going to get it, man. I think the Nittany Lions are going to start looking like themselves again.
Let's get back to being 1-0 by handling our business this week against Maryland. And the only way we're going to do it Saturday is by doing it today. And I expect us to get back to being consistent in practice and games. What we pride ourselves in. Right there, come out. It is time for us to put a full week of practice together and go play on Saturday the way we're capable of playing. The way we played for multiple weeks, we're going to get back to playing. I want to make sure that I see that intent in everybody all week long. And I expect the veterans to hold everybody to the standard. Everybody got me?
Hold everybody to a standard. That gets you fired up for kickoff between Penn State and Maryland, which will be at 3:30 p.m. local time, Eastern time to be specific, as you can watch it on FS1, or as always, you can listen to Steve Jones, Jack Ham and Company on the Penn State Sports Network. Now you're getting a live look at team arrival right now. This is from bus number 4, I believe, as Penn State normally rides about 4 buses deep into the stadium, and there's team arrival right there where the Penn State fans are awaiting those buses to pull up. That building that's in the distance right there, that's relatively new to campus right here. So for those of you that have been a part of team arrival in the past here at Maryland, that wasn't there previously. You'll see the players and the buses pull right up. They'll walk through the tunnel of people as they ultimately take a right turn down into the locker room, which is very small. And I mean very small, here at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. Quarterback Sean Clifford, let's go through some milestones. Quarterback Sean Clifford is 260 yards shy of 7,000 career passing yards, 392 yards shy of 8,000 career total offensive yards, 132 yards shy of 1,000 career rushing yards. Alice Brooks, the linebacker, redshirt senior, is 8 tackles shy of 200 career tackles. And running back John Lovett, just 61 yards shy of 2,000 career rushing yards. You're getting a live look at the stadium right there. You can hear the police sirens in the background as Penn State rolls up to the stadium. You see the Penn State fans right there. And last but not least, the milestone as we wrap this up and bring you the team arrival coverage. Sophomore wide receiver Parker Washington, just 29 yards shy of 1,000 career receiving yards. More on that in a moment, but the sirens are blaring in the background if you can hear it through the microphone. The team is pulling up to the stadium. They're going past the tailgates. They're going past the dorms on the left side. There's the stadium shot right there from bus number 4 as they roll up to the stadium. Head coach James Franklin, quarterback Sean Clifford, Alice Brooks, all those individuals we just talked about will walk through those sea of parents and those sea of fans as they greet them in. You saw right there, Penn State fan cheering. They'll greet them as they arrive to the stadium for this matchup between Penn State and Maryland, which will get underway at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Fans starting to cheer now, which means the buses have officially pulled up. This is kind of your presidential motorcade for those that watch this every single week, this being the Unrivaled Pregame Show. This is the moment that we carry to you live that you will not get anywhere else. Here's bus number 1 pulling up. You see how tight it is right there. For those of you that have watched this show in the past, it's not always this tight as fans kind of crowd around the coaches and the players, which is such a cool opportunity for these players and these coaching members to go through here on Saturday. James Franklin talks about those opportunities, and you have to embrace them. That is not only on the field, that's off the field as well. Bus number 1, head coach James Franklin right there as you see him getting off the bus. He's going to walk into the stadium. He's going to do an interview, I believe, with FS1, not 100% sure. You see Monica right there, always by his side to make sure he is safe. And then James Franklin, as you saw right there, takes that right turn. He heads back towards the locker room right now. He'll do his pregame lap around the field. There's running backs coach Jawan Sider, defensive coordinator Brett Price. Some of the players starting to now walk into Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. They take a right as they walk into the stadium, and then they hook a left down a staircase, and some of them go back into the locker room, which we'll see in a second here. There's that right I'm talking about, and then the left right down the side right there. They'll go down that staircase. Some will go out onto the field. A couple years ago, back in 2019, linebacker Alice Brooks sat in the stands just outside of the locker room and took it in because it's a moment you got to embrace, and him obviously having the roots that he does with Maryland, it's important for him to be able to embrace that. There's those players starting to walk in as we once again welcome you into the Unrivaled Pregame Show with 3 different boxes. We got 2 with team arrival coverage you're seeing right there, one that's just coming off the bus right now, one that's watching the players walk in, and then we got you here on set for the Unrivaled Pregame Show. Kickoff set for 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1, or you can always listen to Steve Jones and company on the Penn State Sports Network. And speaking of Steve Jones, we'll hear from him in just a few moments. We'll get his take on this matchup between Penn State and Maryland, and we'll also get his player to watch in this matchup. There's quarterback Sean Clifford walking into Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. He's 260 yards shy of 7,000 career passing yards and 132 yards shy of 1,000 career rushing yards and 392 yards shy of 8,000 career total offensive yards. There's wide receivers coach Taylor Stubblefield, who we caught up with earlier this week to discuss Parker Washington. We'll play that feature for you in just a second, but we want to continue this live coverage for you right now of Penn State's team arrival, just as we do every single Saturday, no matter if it's home or away. Penn State will finally be back home inside Beaver Stadium next Saturday against Michigan with a game time to be determined. But for now, it's Penn State and Maryland. Look at this shot right there. So this is exactly what the players and the coaching staff has seen as they walk into the stadium. I mentioned how tight it was just a few moments ago. It's very tight between the buses and the parents and the fans of these individuals. Awesome moment right there, shaking some hand, pumping them up. Gotta love that. What a cool moment to be able to walk through that tunnel right there and then ultimately walk into this venue, Capital One Field, at Maryland Stadium. There's the right we've been discussing. Now we'll end up taking a left here. This is kind of like a first-person aspect of things right there. So now you're going to take a left. You're going to go down the stairs right here. The locker room is inside that building that you're seeing right there in front of you. It's very small. And when I mean small, it's very small. It's basically the size of like a high school football locker room, something around those lines. So they cram in there, and they obviously get prepared for this one. But here they go. Ambulance is on the right there. This is where you'll see them once the TV coverage starts. This is where you'll see them walk out to the field for this matchup with the Terps, which is set for 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. The locker room's just to the left right there. And here's the walk that they will make into the field, Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. It's a turf surface. Weather's great today. It's a beautiful day, 55 degrees, partly cloudy skies expected around kickoff time, but as of right now, can't tell you that there's a whole lot of clouds in sight here in College Park, Maryland, just outside of the nation's capital. Jesse Lucchetta right there, I think it was. Players starting to take things in here. They've got about 5 to 10 minutes to take these scenes in. There's Riley Jocelyn, director of social media for Penn State. He's taken some photographs that he'll then upload to Influencer. And if you don't know what Influencer is, it's an app that Penn State student-athletes are able to download pictures in real time to be able to help their name, image, and likeness. If you want more on that, be sure to listen to the Unrivaled podcast episode with CEO of Influencer, Jim Cavell. Players soaking it in. Tariq Castro-Fields, a native of the state of Maryland, and so much more. All right, we welcome in the fourth member of our broadcast team today. We've had a lot of guests so far on the Unrivaled Pregame show, that being Steve Jones, the voice of the Nittany Lions, as he's got some insight into this matchup with Penn State and Maryland. Steve, from a 10,000-foot level on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in November, seasonably warm, very unpredictable at this point in time, but what can fans expect in this one?
Well, first of all, this is really nice. I have to admit, we got off the bus, we're looking around like, this is nice. What can we expect? Look, Maryland needs to throw the football. I mean, that's the bottom line. And this is where Penn State's secondary, which we think is among the best that we've seen here at Penn State, needs to shine in a game like this. And I think they will, because Maryland wants to throw the ball. Talia Tagovailoa is coming off a 419-yard performance last week against Indiana, which is a career high. But if they can get some control on that, they're going to get control in this game. And look, I think Penn State can balance this game. But throwing the football for Penn State is going to be important. A guy like Sean Clifford, they're looking at somebody like him. Can he outduel him? Yeah, he can, as a matter of fact. And I think Penn State's got the better kicking game of the two. So there's a lot of elements, and you got to win giveaway, takeaway. You have to. Tagovailoa, the last two games, has not thrown an interception after being interception-prone in the middle portion of the schedule. They need to get something and take it away from him to get him back to that part where he's then not sure what he's doing.
Well, that certainly funnels right into our players to watch. Steve, let's start with yours.
All right, my player to watch, I think I told you the other day, and I'm trying to remember who it was.
Number 5, Maryland native, talking about interceptions right there.
Tariq Castro-Fields, that's right. I went with him because I went with secondary. It was Tariq Castro-Fields, who, by the way, in this stadium 2 years ago made that play right there. He has 3 career interceptions. That's one of them. He's coming back home. He was with his grandmother last night. He was with his mom last night. It was just beautiful down the lobby to see how deeply he cared for her. Well, today he's going to take good care of the Maryland wide receivers. That's what he's going to do. And, one of the reasons he's one of the top corners in the game, you notice they don't throw him that often because he makes plays like that. He's just a heck of a player.
Well, I'm going to go from one Maryland native to another, and that's somebody that we visited with on Wednesday during the preview show. It's just such an easy pick, and that's Arnold Ebiketie, number 17, the defensive end for Penn State University. Maryland native, grew up just about 20 minutes from Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. Arnold Ebiketie, my player to watch today, as number 17, has 12.5 TFLs this season, with 1.5 of those coming last week against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and we talked about that with him on Wednesday, and the fact that he grew up just 20 minutes from the stadium. You talked about it as it relates to Tariq Castro-Fields. It means something to be able to play in front of family and friends just down the road where you grew up.
Absolutely. It means a lot to them. And not only that, Ebiketie, if he has the kind of game that I think he's capable of having today, there'll be times you need to spy Tagovailoa because he does move a bit. But if he's coming off the edge making plays like that, you don't need a spy.
Well, from the defensive side of the football to the offensive side of the football, as you see head coach James Franklin right there taking a picture. Obviously deeply rooted here at the University of Maryland. within this program. But let's switch to the offensive side of the football for Penn State. And one of the impact players so far in 2021 has been wide receiver Parker Washington. And for more on that, we talked with wide receivers coach Taylor Stubblefield earlier this week.
Four-man rush. Clifford again has time. Throws down the middle. And the catch is made. Getting some blocks. And Parker Washington, talented receiver from Texas, starts out at the 16.
Wide receiver Parker Washington tied a career high with 9 catches that went for 108 yards his last time out, as the sophomore continues to be a key asset for Penn State's offense. Mitch Gerber alongside wide receivers coach Taylor Stubblefield. Coach, when you went back and graded the film, what stuck out to you most about number 3's performance?
He was aware of the situations. You know, we challenged him this whole year, and early on in the season, there were some third downs that we had where he came up just a little bit short. What I was impressed about him and what I've challenged him as the whole offense, Coach Franklin, we've challenged him. When it's 3rd and 5, we need to get it. When it's 3rd and 10, we need to get it. And he did a good job of that on Saturday. We converted quite a bit on 3rd down, and a lot of them we went to him.
You mentioned that yourself, Coach Franklin, the Penn State offense as a whole challenged Parker with those 3rd down situations. How have you seen him perform on the practice field in those situations to grow?
Well, it's something that we take from the meeting room out here to the field. Something we talk about is just situational awareness. Knowing, you know, how much time's left on the clock, knowing is it a 2-minute situation, and obviously is it a 3rd down. We know the importance of 3rd downs in drives. Those extend drives, and if you look at, you know, our game last week, we had a lot of 9-10 play drives that happened because we converted on 3rd down.
Makes a nice opening, good throwing lane that time to get it to Parker Washington. We know about Dotson, but tonight the tight end, Strange, already's made a catch. Lambert Smith could get involved, and Parker Washington is a valuable commodity, especially out of that slot, getting the ball thrown downfield.
Where's he taken the biggest stride since he arrived on campus?
Probably his defensive identification. That's huge for an inside receiver, because you don't know if you're going to run your route off of a linebacker, off of a safety. You don't know who's going to be in your way as you are running your route. So he has improved on his understanding, his savviness of what the defense is trying to do, and then really situational awareness. Situational awareness and then getting north. There's a couple times on Saturday where he tried to, you know, he tried to come back a little bit before he went forward. So we're continuing to work on getting north, but situational awareness and defensive identification, he's getting better at.
With all that said, he currently sits 6th in the Big Ten in catches this season. What is the most undervalued aspect of his game to the common eye?
3rd down.
3rd and 7. 4-man rush. Clifford, no one to throw to. Now delivers a strike, and Parker Washington has a 1st down catch in Ohio State territory. This is exactly what Mike Yursich has been challenging Sean Clifford to do. Sit in there on 3rd down. Keep your eyes downfield and make that throw. Outstanding.
The 40-yard play, the 30-yard play, the touchdowns that happen throughout a game are often overshadowed by or the 3rd down catch. The 3rd and 2 catch that happened, the 3rd play of the drive, gets overlooked.
Need 3 on this 3rd down. Has time, delivers a strike. Washington, 1st down inside the 15.
I think the value of a 3rd down catch goes up because we understand how important it is towards a drive. That's one part where I know that we, as a whole group, as an offense, as a team, we know the value of it, but sometimes it doesn't look that way when you're just watching through the common eye.
Parker Washington and Penn State's offense back at it this Saturday against Maryland at 3:30 p.m.
The most undervalued aspect of his game, I love that from Coach Stubblefield right there. 3rd downs. Parker Washington continues to be a threat for Penn State's offense, especially in that aspect of the game. Fans, don't forget to join us for the Unrivaled postgame show immediately following today's contest between Penn State and Maryland, as we'll recap today's contest with head coach James Franklin and select Penn State student athletes. Game can't happen unless it's played. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, FS1 as the network, or as always, you can listen to Steve Jones and company on the Penn State Sports Network. That's going to do it for this edition of the Unrivaled postgame show live from Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you for the postgame show.
Let's turn our attention next to Penn State taking on Maryland.
And right now we're about to see what a lot of folks call chicken food.
Throws to the end zone and a one-handed grab by Mike Gesicki.
What stands out to you most about this matchup?
So what you ask yourself, how can I set the tone? Because you're only going to get one crack at it.
Jackson for the play. Intercepted again. Terry Castro-Fields.
Hard hit delivered.
Down the sidelines. Touchdown.
Wow.
It's Penn State in to take on Maryland. And yeah, it does run deep.
These are two really good football teams, guys.
There's a tight end, Brenton Strange, and Penn State strikes first.
In the classroom, going out to grab something to eat. Everybody wants to ask you about that big game that weekend that's coming up.
Here come the Terrapins.
Hard hit delivered.
And he gets walloped. It's going to be a very physical football game here today.
Oh my goodness. The Price is there. He's got it. Touchdown, Penn State.
Take it to him. Take it to him. 60 minutes.
There goes Kincaid for a payday.
You talk about giving somebody smoke. It's got to be a catalyst that ignites success.
This is real. This isn't an act.
He is a very hard. It is a touchdown.
This is go time.
They are ready. We are Penn State versus Fear the Turtle.
It's time to go create success by setting the tone.